Can you please help me?
Just a minute, ladies and gentlemen. I think something is happening.
This week, on the Tower of Technobabble, the meatbags take a quick look at the newest quest to pull back the shower curtains on the wonders of the sea before moving on to see why most societies in human history, possibly including ours, started to swirl down history's bathtub drain. Grab your rubber ducky and your water wings and let's watch civilization sink into the depths. Welcome to the Tower of Technobabble.
So guys, yesterday I was at Target and I danced like nobody was watching and people were laughing at me.
Was it funny?
Well, I don't know.
Was it like the funky chicken or the hot potato? Or...
It's like that whole... Well, okay, I saw this motivational slogan on one of those kind of wooden signs that all the small-town craft shops are selling, and it said, dance like nobody is watching. And I thought, I'll try that out, and it didn't work. So either I was doing it wrong or the people watching me were doing it wrong. Like maybe they haven't heard of that old saying. I assume it's an old saying.
Did you turn the plaque that it was on around? It's like dance is nobody watching. Fool.
Maybe I should hold the plaque up while I'm dancing.
Oh, that would help. That would give people a cue what you're doing.
But now I'm thinking maybe it's the saying itself that's wrong. I mean, maybe the saying should be edited to instead say, dance like everyone is watching, or else you will get mocked, and never strive to improve yourself and your talents. Which makes more sense.
That's
to me.
both motivational and instructional.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's realistic. It's the real world here.
I can see it on a T-shirt. This is the realest episode we've ever done. Today, audience, we're getting real.
We're putting up a sign right now that says, there are no princesses.
Podcasts as if nobody was listening.
Oh, well, that's our motto.
Bingo. That's our mission statement.
Wait a minute. Do you have that applause button? My Foley does.
Oh, yes, I do.
Yes. Conduit, quote of the year there. We've got our new motto.
We'll have Towerbot engrave that into the tower as we speak.
And it only took us 4 seasons, 12 episodes to get here to where we finally understand where we stand.
Aha.
I'm the repeater.
Like all truths, it was simple and right in front of us the whole time.
Say your name.
Oh, I'm the conduit.
Yep, and I'm Kentucky Slim. And if you didn't catch that, yes, we are in Season 4, Episode 12 of the Tower of Technobabble. And I have a feeling that no one has a plan tonight.
Well, it's our new mission statement. I'm podcasting like no one cares.
Woohoo! I'm taking off my socks.
I don't even need my swear jar because, no one's going to hear it.
Hey,
it's fine.
We're going to.
So I think we'll probably just throw it to Towerbot at this point, really, and while we figure out a game plan.
I'm going to take off my shoes.
Tonight
Tread Shoe Diaries.
Right. Now, tonight on Tread Shoe Diaries, and this is the part for those of you who don't know, is where we read a letter that has come in to Towerbot, because apparently he doesn't like to read these letters himself to you. I don't know why. He just likes to respond to them.
He calls you Jarvis behind your back.
Hey. So, anyway, we've got a letter in. And from the looks of it, it is very big, bold print. So it
Wait, hold it up. Let me see it. Hold it up in there. It looks like every single letter is a capital letter.
Yes. It's they had the caps lock on, and
okay.
It looks like they just went to town. So I think that from my email etiquette, that means that they're yelling. So I will read it as such.
Okay, gotcha.
All right. Dear Towerbot, how do I turn off caps lock? Ow. I need help, please. I accidentally turned on caps lock last week, and I don't know how to turn it back off. All my friends are mad because they think I'm yelling at them on the internet. It's tearing my family apart. It's ruining my life. Can you please help me? Desperately. Carl's Band, New Mexico. P.S. That last part where it seemed like I was screaming for help, I was actually screaming. So, God, I'm so bad. So sorry, Carl.
This is an emergency. Holy crap. This guy's life is falling apart.
Code red,
Everyone
Towerbot.
thinks he's yelling at him. Towerbot, help this guy. Help Carl from Carlsbad, which is an odd coincidence.
Dear Carl, I feel for you, man. One time, my military laser got stuck in the on position, and I couldn't turn it off. I almost cut the tower in two. For a bunch of sedentary meatbags, you should have seen them scrambling for cover, hiding behind mirrors, hoping that a replica of Captain America's shield was the real thing. Spoiler alert, it wasn't. Good times. Good times. The simple answer, if your caps lock key isn't working, is to go get a new keyboard. But I would invite you to look deeper at the problem. The answer was obvious. Part of you likes to be typing in all caps, all the time, which in online parlance is the same as screaming at the top of your lungs all the time. Have you ever considered that you might be a natural-born screamer? Maybe there's a part of you that likes to dominate every conversation, every chance encounter and every restaurant situation. Try a couple of experiments. Get on a bus and shout to your seatmate all the small talk that you would otherwise engage in. Scream about the weather, holler about the local sports team, and then loudly proclaim that this is your stop, and that he or she should have a good one. Next, go to a fine restaurant, and when the waiter asks for your order, give it to him like the fires of Ragnarok were due to arrive at any minute. See if you get your food faster. See if people turn to notice the new, assertive you. Above all, see if you are right for the screaming lifestyle. Love, Towerbot.
You know, I never really considered that, the screaming lifestyle.
The screaming lifestyle.
You know, it reminds me about 10 or 20 years ago in Louisville, there was a guitar player, and his name was Screaming John something or other, but it was Screaming John. And Rich, our science advisor, he knew the guy, but his pet theory was that wasn't a nickname. It was probably a family name. Like maybe he came from a whole family of screamers, you know? It's like, hi, my name is Screaming John. These are my parents. Hi, we're very, very proud of our son. You know,
Use your outside voice.
okay, Dad. And I also like how Towerbot recommends that he try screaming to the waiter and see what happens. Because have you ever noticed whenever you're at a restaurant, a waiter will come up and say, hi, my name is Bob, or hey, my name is Larry. But you never use his name.
I do.
Throughout the whole meal.
I do all the time.
Do you ever use it to call him over? Like, are you like halfway through, and do you ever turn around and go, Larry, bring me some more chips? You know, do you ever do that?
I do, actually.
All right. You have embraced the screaming lifestyle.
Denise, this was great. I loved it, Denise. Thank you. You're going to get a great tip.
Tabitha!
Oh, come on. No one,
Tabitha! We need more ice.
no one has that name anymore. Tabitha, if you're out there, please write us in to let us know that you're alive. Okay?
Yeah, prove it. Prove you exist.
Tabitha! And, you know, I mean, even what if they went by a shortened version of it? Would it be like Tabby or
Tab!
My dad used to drink Tab in the 80s. It was sort of a thing.
Yeah. It's good stuff.
Good times.
Yeah. Anyway, so moving on, shall we?
Yes.
Well, sure. What the heck?
Now is the time for the DOT Science Update.
Science.
Guys, I know I've thrown a bit of a fit over the last few podcasts about the sorry-ass state of America's space program.
You, Pshaw.
You know what I'm talking about.
fit?
The fact how this once great land allegedly led the charge into space. And yet today, at this very moment, America has no more spaceships. Our space program is in tatters. Our astronauts reduced to kindergarten kids holding brown bag lunches, waiting for the Russian school bus rocket to come along and take them up into space.
Assuming we're not in a snit with the Russians, by the way.
All because America couldn't keep up the payments and buy its very own space car. I could go on, but I'm not, because I'm trying to accept reality. So the lesson here is that when it comes to America, space, the final frontier, is off limits. So we'll just have to make do with the second to last final frontier, which is the ocean.
Sure.
The only problem is America ain't building it. France is building it.
France is building the ocean?
No, they're building what we're going to use to get to the second to last frontier. In fact, audience, let me pause here a moment to put a link up on the Tower site for Kentucky Slim and Conduit, and for everyone at home to click on and see an illustration of this amazing thing that I am talking about. Going there now.
I got to the ocean in a Toyota.
Command V. Guys, check out that link, and can you tell me through words what you are seeing?
I am witnessing a big blue webpage.
Give it a second.
Yeah, Sea Orbiter at a glance. Sea Orbiter. The Sea Orbiter.
Is it me or does... Can you guys see this thing?
Yeah. Uh-huh.
It looks like the Starship Enterprise of the ocean,
Well, it's about time, I say.
Doesn't it look like a space... guys, paint a picture for the people driving in their cars and they can't get to the internet and see this amazing thing.
Well, this looks like two batliths jammed together.
What's a batlith?
That's that Klingon sword thing.
Now,
Hey, you're the one that brought up the Enterprise,
Star Trek,
so
whatever.
okay, put that whole genre up for grabs.
Ooh, burn! Okay.
Most boats are
can't believe I
horizontal.
just said
They're
that.
sitting on the water. This thing is vertical. And it literally looks like it's got like a big saucer section, and it's like this big vertical spaceship looking thing.
It uses it looks like it appears to use ballast, folks. Keeping it doesn't use the natural buoyancy of the water. It uses the ballast of a submerged piece.
It just looks cool. It looks like the freaking Starship Enterprise, only it's not a starship, it's a sea ship.
Actually,
And
it looks like a whale shark.
this sea ship Enterprise of the sea will launch in 2 years, taking researchers where no man has swam before. Cue the opera singer here. Okay, now, this mighty and damp vessel is named the Sea Orbiter, and in 2016, its mission launches to become the first ocean lab where researchers can live 24/7 over a long period of time. They just got to pay for it first. Anyway, it's going to cost about $43 million.
That's not too bad.
It's the result of a 30-year research and design mission, and seriously, guys, you have got to see it. It's about 190 feet tall, with 100 feet of it staying under the surface, and 90 feet of it is towering up above the water line. And if you look at the layout link, which I put on the tower map, you'll see all sorts of cool-ass things that are just clicking my Starship checklist. Like, they've got the navigational bridge, they've got the underwater hangar, the communication room, the pressurized module. Beam me down, Scotty. This thing is awesome. Now,
The top of it looks like Ultron's head, by the way.
yeah, it just looks very sci-fi and spaceship.
It looks like a large whale shark with a growth on its head.
but metallic,
Well, yeah, sure.
Now, the bad thing is this won't go at warp ocean speeds. The vessel will drift with the currents and will rely on renewable energy from sun, waves, and wind and dilithium for power. It holds a crew of 22 people. And just like astronauts, they will need to be physically fit and well equipped for spontaneous exploration missions, a.k.a. fighting off savage mermen and loving up all of the savage mermaids.
Which half is the lady?
You'll know when the time
It's
comes.
6 a.m., ladies and gentlemen. It's time for your daily fitness regimen. Keep those eyes off those bird people.
Now, as proof of this, its first mission will be to Monaco.
Oh.
That's right. Hot, sexy Monaco, a hotbed of science.
Hey, if,
So-
you're trying this thing out for the first time. You don't want to put it in a war zone. You want to put it in a nice zone.
It's shaking out.
Yeah, you got to show it off. You got to
right.
send it where the people are going to go ooh and ah, and then maybe,
You stand up on the lookout post and go, ladies.
That's right.
Now-
I'm running this,
now-
and I'm physically fit.
Check out my uniform.
I am ready for duty.
Damn. Now, the Sea Orbiter will be the first vessel that lets the crew leave the boat from under the water's surface, ... without having to worry about the weather or what's going on the sea surface, which I think is kind of neat. It could be like rough seas or a storm, and they could just be under water coming in and out and not really caring.
Wait. So the
Yeah.
top part can go underwater, or the whole that part stays above water, right?
They have
Yeah.
shuttle bays.
But because so much of it is down under the surface, it's not really. It's sort of like, okay, the Titanic was unsinkable. This boat is untippable because
God says challenge accepted.
I don't know if it would survive a tsunami per se, but it's got a good hunk of it down under there.
The question
It's
is,
kinda
would it
holding still.
right itself if there was a rogue wave or something?
I think so, because it's got that big, huge engineering section under it.
Yeah.
That kind of looks like it's. Oh, it just looks cool.
It's pretty
Now,
sexy.
The main brain behind the ship is sea architect Jacques Rogerie, and I don't have a French accent, so I'm not even going to try it.
No, do your Irish accent.
Okay. The Sea Orbiter be the synthesis of everything that we have been able to do at sea. It is at the same time a moving habitat and a dynamic launching point for submarine research and exploration. It will not replace oceanographic boats or exploratory submarines. Instead, it is another way to explore and better comprehend the underwater universe and bring human life to another level on a 24 basis over long periods. I don't know what.
Okay, so you went from Irish to Italian to 1920s to Terrence and Phillip.
Oh, the humanity.
Hey, buddy!
Don't call me buddy.
Now,
Your buddy,
the
pal.
best part is you can help pay for it. Really, they're currently crowdfunding a bunch of euros so they can begin constructing this in France in the spring of 2014. This year, they're going to start within weeks.
We're actually in the
So-
spring of 2014 as we record this.
I know. Construction will finish by the end of 2015, and the first underwater expedition will begin in spring of 2016. So, I, for one, am looking forward to following all of the hot and sexy adventures that the crew of the Sea Orbiter will be having in 2 years' time, when they inevitably run into all of the sea monsters and sexy mer folk. It's going to be non-stop action.
We'll have to talk to our underwater scientist, Monica, about this.
Monica, you have to pull whatever strings you can find. You have to talk to people in power. You've got to get assigned to this hot and sexy mission, okay?
Just wear the yellow or blue swimsuit. Don't wear the red swimsuit.
Yes, and because this is so Star Trekky, I'm assuming you'll be forced to wear a mini skirt the entire voyage. So,
Yay, science.
Oh, I forgot something. It's built from a new generation of recyclable aluminum. And get this, it's called Celium. Get it? Because it's
I see what they did there.
see. French are hilarious.
I don't.
See, that one sunk. But
All right, I'm done now.
Come, let's talk it over. Don't be shy. Come down to my discussion bit.
Okay, so in a few weeks, we're having a friend of the show on, J.R. Southall, and we're going to actually I'm teasing here. We're going to have a discussion about apocalyptic movies and possibly apocalypses in general. So this is sort of a teaser, a primer, if you will, based on a story I just read the other day.
Get your doomsday juices flowing.
That's right. So there was an article in livescience.com, and the title of the article is "Society is Doomed." Scientists claim.
Wait. Scientists or Harold Camping? Are you sure it was scientists?
Scientists, plural.
Scientists.
More than one scientist.
Yeah. So anyway, the article, the short of it is that they looked at the entirety of known history and civilizations that have come and gone, and they have analyzed why that has happened, why civilizations have collapsed. And they all...
I'll bet it's because the ancient Roman president introduced ancient Roman universal health care, and it pissed everybody off, right?
Oh, real funny. No, well, yeah, maybe.
Who is paying for this, Maximus?
So I guess the conclusions that they've come to is that it's actually more common than most people would think, and that is actually a quote there. More common than you think. Now, I would think that all of civilizations, past and future, are doomed to collapse. Just based on the track record, right?
Well, I mean, all past civilizations have collapsed if they're not here now.
Right.
Yeah.
Exactly. So, but anyway, so the article goes on. It says, the researchers' first task was overturning the common impression that societal collapse is rare or even largely fictional, which we have already addressed.
The Roman Empire never existed.
Right.
I saw that on HBO. It was called Rome.
In fact, they argue the rise and fall of great social structures is so common a theme in human civilization, recurrent throughout history and worldwide in scope, that it's more the rule than the exception. And most studies of society's collapse have looked at specifics of how one civilization declined, citing individual causes such as disaster, loss of resources, or human conflict that led to the particular society's downfall. But the researchers, funded in part by NASA's Goddard Space Flight Center and the University of Maryland College Park, cast a wider net. They aim to create a useful mathematical model that could help analyze how any society might fall, including our current global, technically advanced, interconnected society.
So they're predicting how we're going to all fail?
Yep. Yeah, pretty much.
Can we profit from this in some way?
If you're not already, you're doomed! The model they arrived at takes inspiration from the classic notion of predator versus prey, sometimes referred to as the, quote, balance of nature. When a deer population grows, for instance, the wolves that feed on those deer reproduce more successfully too, and so the wolf population grows. Everything is fine until the wolves become too numerous and overreach, eating so many deer that there isn't enough venison to go around. Then, as the number of deer plunges, the wolf population drops due to famine until the equilibrium is reestablished and the cycle begins all over again.
Okay, so am I a wolf or a deer? Where do I stand here?
Bad news, you're a deer.
Well, the thing is, I think we're all deer, unless you're a blood-sucking politician.
It might depend on your point of view. In this country, within the boundaries of this country, I'm definitely a deer. But from the point of view of someone living in, say, the Middle East or they would probably
anyone
say
in the third world country, yes.
They would say that just because I live in America, I am therefore a wolf, right?
Congratulations.
So have I just passed political science?
Well, congratulations. You've figured out your place in the world.
Hey, sometimes you're the wolf, sometimes you're the deer.
So
I just want to be a sloth and
just hang out in trees and eat slowly.
I just want the world to pass me by.
All the wolves and their deers and their running arounds and their eatings. It's like, I just want to sit here.
All right. Well, I was curious there. Okay.
Well, so they developed this thing called a handy tool. Handy is a what is it? It's an acronym for human and nature dynamics, or handy for short.
So, wait a minute, it's just hand.
Yeah,
it's a hand tool.
They use the Y in dynamics. Anyway,
well, that's cheating.
I know, I agree.
Maybe the Y stands for yo.
Hand would have made more sense, like the hand that feeds you, or the hand that taketh away, or
the hand of doom.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. The
That
hand
always
of
bothered
death.
me on chips. It's like, it's like California Highway Patrol, CHP. Where'd that I come from?
Amen, brother. So
All
anyway,
these years, I'm still angry about that.
the researchers used the handy model to analyze three different social scenarios: an egalitarian society with no elite class, an equitable society with workers and non-workers, students, retirees, disabled persons, etc., and an unequal society with a robust class of elites. The egalitarian and equitable societies could produce a sustainable civilization and avoid collapse, even with a high ratio of non-workers. Social collapse was more likely after people overreached and depleted natural resources. Importantly, even without any social stratification, collapse could occur if a society exhausted its natural resources.
And let me guess, those first two categories, they don't exist and have never existed, right?
Probably not on a large scale.
Actually, no, that's not true. I mean,
Let's go there.
But they have collapsed for different reasons.
Oh, let's not go there.
Because Category 3 wiped them out.
Exactly.
Okay.
Exactly.
Category 3 wanted their stuff.
You're
the
thinking
dances with wolves scenario, right? Oh my God! Because the Indians were technically deer, and they were dancing with the wolves, which was the American government, right? They were dancing with fate of the.
Wow, your metaphor
like-
has just blown my mind.
It's like you've discovered the political science Rosetta Stone.
Maybe I should go into this. Wow, I kind of have a knack for. Actually, I just have a knack for making examples. I don't have a knack of actually following through with anything. I'm going to stick with my slothness. Sorry, go on.
You're a sloth above it all, watching.
Well,
I know my place.
you did. You put your finger on it. That is exactly what happens, historically speaking. Now, the Native American, certain tribes, I would say the majority of tribes, who knows, we'll never know because most of them were wiped out. However, I think it's safe to say that, it was a common theme that Native Americans were, had a very sustainable, population, because they were in the land of the plenty and they knew how to take care of their natural resources. However, introduce some Europeans with smallpox, and the rest is history, as they say. So
Suddenly they're crying because we're leaving our wrappers everywhere, our chicken wrappers. They're crying, and yeah.
anyway, so interestingly enough, though, this article was written March 18th. Okay, so just a week ago or so. Jared Diamond, I want to say maybe 4 to 5 years ago, maybe a little earlier than that, actually wrote a book called Collapse, and in it he actually detailed exactly this same thing, and he went through some perfect examples of how this has happened in the past. And what I think that he did really great in his analysis was this is a guy who studied birds in tropical islands in the Pacific. That's how he got his start. But he started writing about these types of topics because he started to see how island civilizations were a microcosm of the world as a whole, right? Because you have all of the effects that would happen to an island civilization happen much faster than it would on a global scale.
Kind of like SimCity.
Okay, sure.
Sim Island.
So one of the things that, one of the examples that he gave was Easter Island. Everybody, I think, is familiar with the story, but for those who don't necessarily know, the idea is that they were isolated in the middle of the Pacific Ocean, and the people there, what is the name? Rapa Nui. The Rapa Nui.
Wow, you pulled that out? Wow.
No, I just referred to a webpage. Anyway, the Rapa Nui, they were not good stewards of their tiny island, and they got into this, building these famous moai statues, right?
Right.
And they were cutting down trees left and right to sort of transport those stones, and it was a big construction effort. And in doing so, they made the soil less arable so that they couldn't grow crops. They, because of erosion. Because the trees were not there.
All right, yeah.
It was a trickle-down effect of disaster.
So basically on this tiny little island, they squandered every single resource they had in this massive effort to put up all these giant statues, right?
That was the start of it. Yeah. And
so we should be fine because we're not putting up big statues, right? Right?
Are we not?
Right?
In fact, we can use their big statues. Ha-ha.
Yeah.
Thanks, Rapa Nui.
You've saved humanity. Thank you.
They took one for the team, as it were.
Thank you. Yeah.
But the idea is the same. I mean, that is a small scale, and it happened very rapidly as the population grew. It was a downward spiral from there, and it got to the point where they didn't even have enough wood on the island to build canoes to leave the island. So, I mean, it was completely decimated, and there was no food except for the ocean. That's the only way they could sustain themselves. So, I imagine things went pretty bad very quickly. So, anyway, collapse. I don't know. What do you all think? Historically speaking, it is inevitable. What do you think?
I don't think you can keep a society the way it is. I think it'll evolve. I don't know if it necessarily needs to collapse. I mean, yes, they very well could collapse, but I mean, hopefully one day it's like we'll have, the Star Trek Federation where it's a planetary government and everything works well.
And we just have a machine that conjures food.
Exactly. That would be helpful.
That'd
be ever so helpful.
I think what's happening in the Crimea proves that, good intentions aren't going to work because, like the whole Cold War in the 80s and the Soviet Union collapsing and them embracing democracy. We're like, hey, yay, the world is getting better now. Everything is going to be great. The big evil superpower has fallen and democracy wins. Yay, democracy. And now it's like, they're going back. So it's just...
Well, that's kind of a weird situation because the Crimea was basically given to the Ukraine in the 1950s. So it was never, historically it wasn't really part of the Ukraine.
I thought it was later than that.
It was Khrushchev, so maybe
okay,
about
well-
late 50s, early 60s, maybe.
Oh, okay.
I'm looking more at like the whole, and again, I don't live in Russia. I don't speak Russian. I don't watch Russian media, so I don't know. But the impression we get from the outside is that the Russian leaders are re-embracing this totalitarian mindset. And if they truly were a democracy, they would probably respect the fact that Crimea technically belongs to the Ukraine, blah, 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 no matter what, let live,
Well,
whatever,
the true test is going to be if they stop there.
Right.
I'm wondering if they are.
Yeah.
Well,
don't know.
yeah, I mean, they're assuming a region that is, primarily, I guess 90% Russian speaking. They are effectively Russians.
Yeah, and a lot of people retire there from Russia, so
Right.
it's kind of like Palm Springs.
Now, I admit, I don't know all of the ins and outs of it. It's just the whole feel that I get from the Russian leadership. They're very, we don't care, screw you, we can do whatever the hell we want, and
Yeah, it had a
it's
very
just-
Czechoslovakian kind of feel to it when they went.
From great system, quote unquote. Let's review how Rome fell. I'll go down the list. All right. And tell me if any of this sounds familiar. Invasions by barbarian tribes. The Romans weathered a Germanic uprising in the late 4th century. Hey, what do you think about that, Ben? Hey, high five. All right. So,
Hey, wait a minute! I gotta give the Scots version of this. When they went up in the British Isles, they found the Scottish people so fearsome that they actually made a line called Hadrian's Wall and said, "Okay, this is where society stops." And Scotland was on the other side of it.
yeah, that's right. That's where this is where civilized society stops.
I think they built that wall as a sort of Mason-Dixon line where it divided the people who wore pants away from the people who did wear pants.
Hey, you're right,
The
laddie.
pantless people didn't want to mingle with the panted people. So you keep your people on that side of the wall, and we'll keep our trousers on this side. I'm thinking.
Anyway, all right. Invasion of barbarian tribes. That's number one. Number two, economic troubles and over-reliance on slave labor. So as Rome was under attack from outside forces, it was also crumbling from within thanks to a severe financial crisis. Constant wars and overspending had significantly lightened imperial coffers, and oppressive taxation and inflation had widened the gap between rich and poor. In the hope,
familiar.
yeah, in the hope of avoiding the tax man, many members of the wealthy classes had even fled to the countryside and set up independent fiefdoms. At the same time, the empire was rocked by a labor deficit. Rome's economy depended on slaves to till its fields and work as craftsmen, and its military might had traditionally provided a fresh influx of conquered peoples to put to work. But when expansion ground to a halt in the 2nd century, Rome's supply of slaves and other war treasures began to dry up. A further blow came in the 5th century when the Vandals claimed North Africa and began disrupting the empire's trade by prowling the Mediterranean as pirates. So,
Okay.
and I'm getting this, by the way, from history.com, in case anybody is interested.
We technically don't have slaves.
Technically, we don't.
Technically, we don't.
But we do have,
Well, we have permanent underclasses.
yeah. We have.
If we're not careful, we will have permanent.
We have the permanently underemployed.
Yeah, here's a question. Would we have gone the way of Rome much sooner if we didn't have all these safety nets?
I think so because, you said about the gap between rich and poor, and I think that was in that study, the affluent versus the the elite versus the rest of us, and we're kind of getting to that point where there's a huge gap.
Right. Well, it is ever widening.
You know what? Just I really want to make clear to anyone who's listening and cares. I'm really not political. I'm not yay Democrats or yay Republicans. I because I honestly see them as the same thing. I don't see a lot of differences. The only differences I see is one party claims stuff that the other party doesn't, but neither one really does anything. I honestly see things more now as rich versus poor. And I don't know when that started, but
there's a school of thought that after the Civil War and the Reconstruction phase,
yeah,
there was a lot of racial tension in the South, of course.
Yeah.
A lot of people think that the more wealthy people encouraged this because if the poor whites and the poor blacks realized that they had a lot more in common than they did with the rich landowners, that would be a huge problem. So a lot of people think that racial tensions were amped up by the upper class to keep the lower class
encouraged. Yes,
I can see that.
It's a theory. And
we both got nothing, but we're different colors. So
it just like most of history, the water is murky. Anyway, so disclaimers aside, we all know how we feel about our current politics, but just let's continue to go down the list and kind of see where the similarities are. And we're not going to be 10 for 10 on any of these, thank God, because we've learned some lessons as we've gone on.
Took the lead out of our pipes.
I'm sure we'll forget them, but yeah, go on.
Oh, yeah, of course we will, as things continue to disintegrate. Anyway, so here's something that a lot of people, that when they hear about the fall of Rome or ancient Rome, they don't recall from school that it was actually split into two empires at a certain point.
Technically, we never covered this in school, so. But
Oh,
please
really?
go ahead.
Okay. Well, anyway,
This is all news to me. The Roman Empire fell. When did this happen?
So the fate of Western Rome was partially sealed in the late 3rd century when Emperor Diocletian divided the empire into two halves, the Western Empire, seated in the city of Milan, and the Eastern Empire in Byzantium, later known as Constantinople. The division made the empire more easily governable in the short term, but over time the two halves drifted apart. East and West failed to adequately work together to combat outside threats, and the two often squabbled over resources and military aid. As the Gulf widened, the largely Greek-speaking Eastern Empire grew in wealth, while the Latin-speaking West descended into economic crisis. Most importantly, the strength of the Eastern Empire served to divert barbarian invasions to the West. Emperors like Constantine ensured that the city of Constantinople was fortified and well guarded, but Italy and the city of Rome, which only had symbolic value for many in the East, were left vulnerable. The Western political structure would finally disintegrate in the 5th century, but the Eastern Empire endured in some form for another 1,000 years before being overwhelmed by the Ottoman Empire in the 1400s. So, so it at one time it was a single empire, but because of their the start of the collapse, they thought, Band-Aid. We'll just draw a line. You got control over that half. Yeah.
Well, maybe we dodged this
I wonder if
bullet.
that would happen here.
Well, I think we dodged this.
That could happen.
I think we dodged this bullet in the Civil War.
Yeah. I think Texas is still trying to.
Yeah. You always got one.
Yeah, well.
There's always that guy.
So, it's always a popular idea, though, right? Like, they are screwing us up. We're going to secede or just move away.
Well, and again, this kind of looks like what happened in the Ukraine, where the eastern half really wanted to go with Europe, where the western half is really tied much more closely to Russia. And, there's...
other way around. The western half wanted to go to Europe.
You're right.
Yeah.
That would have been all kinds of confusion.
See, I was looking at it from our side through the planet, so I was throwing it out. But if you get a dissection of the people where they strongly feel one way or the other, I think it's much harder to hold a society together, I would think, especially if they speak different languages.
Right.
You know, No, never mind. I'm not going to say it. Go on.
Of course, the internet is now the spackle that holds society together. So.
Yeah. You know, and
It's cat videos are keeping us all.
It's not
one
pretty, but it
people.
works. It does the job.
that is an interesting point, because I think it's like we with each successive empire or civilization, we seem to get closer and closer to this sort of one world with, conquered, that is united behind, one idea. And you're right. It seems like the internet is that glue, or the gray goo that has surrounded us all. And
well, there's globalization too. There's a saying that no two countries with McDonald's have ever gone to war with each other.
right.
And I think that's still, I think that's still the case. We'll see, but there's a common culture that's growing. Whether
Right. And
culture.
And with Google Translate, everybody can be your friend.
And Ashton Kutcher is there always.
Oh God.
I'm not saying it's a great culture. I'm just saying it's a culture.
It's a culture.
It's a culture.
So anyway, the next one actually refers to something that you brought up earlier, overexpansion and military overspending. At its height, the Roman Empire stretched from the Atlantic Ocean all the way to the Euphrates River in the Middle East, but its grandeur may have also been its downfall. With such a vast territory to govern, the empire faced an administrative and logistical nightmare. Even with their excellent road systems, the Romans were unable to communicate quickly or effectively enough to manage their holdings. Rome struggled to marshal enough troops and resources to defend its frontiers from local rebellions and outside attacks. And by the 2nd century, the Emperor Hadrian was forced to build his famous wall in Britain just to keep the enemy at bay. As more and more funds were funneled into the military upkeep of the empire, technological advancement slowed, and Rome's civil infrastructure fell into disrepair.
Well, we don't have to worry about that. I mean, we're not communicating via Pony Express anymore. I mean, we're okay, right?
Well, it's all relative, right? I mean, look how long it's taken us to find a plane.
We've made friends with Scotland. We're fine.
Hey, do you guys know, this is a side note, a fun fact, you always hear about the Pony Express, but it only actually operated for like 9 months.
Yeah.
It really didn't last for very long. Because they invented those darn old telegraph wires and it put them out of business.
It's much cheaper than having to buy a pony every time you wanted to send a letter. Jeez.
Yeah.
If only the Romans had thought of railroad,
But the Romans had spaceships. Never mind. Go on.
Yeah,
Okay,
probably. Let's see. Government corruption and political instability.
We ain't got that because we're the home of the free.
That doesn't happen.
Everyone can be president. Yay, America. So.
If Rome's sheer size made it difficult to govern, ineffective and inconsistent leadership only served... I want to read that again. Ineffective and inconsistent leadership only served to magnify the problem. Being the Roman emperor had always been a particularly dangerous job, but during the tumultuous 2nd and 3rd centuries, it nearly became a death sentence. Civil war thrust the empire into chaos, and more than 20 men took the throne in the span of only 75 years, usually after the murder of their predecessor. The Praetorian Guard, the emperor's personal bodyguards, assassinated and installed new sovereigns at will, and once even auctioned the spot off to the highest bidder.
See, they should have fired those guys. Come on, man.
Right. Well, couldn't do it. The political rot also extended to the Roman Senate, which failed to temper the excesses of the emperors due to its own widespread corruption and incompetence. As the situation worsened, civic pride waned, and many Roman citizens lost trust in their leadership. That doesn't sound familiar at all.
Nah. Our elected leaders are efficient like a machine.
Yeah, I think that's one of those things that, may just be a constant throughout history. I think even the Neanderthals were were upset at Umlaut, who was running the tribe.
It's
Germanic,
funny, you know, they never, you know, on the night that someone gets elected, there's always these big triumphant speeches of what's going to happen and we can do it and all that. It's always funny. Why don't they ever, like a year later? Why doesn't the news ever rerun those speeches and just sort of like see how it's going? You know, but they never do.
I know those are only feel good pieces.
I just can't get excited by elections anymore.
It's political
I
theater.
know it's all
theater.
I mean, say somebody got elected president, they got up, you know, all the screaming fans, and said, "Well, back to work."
Yeah. It's so all right. So I'm going to go through these last three real quick. These are actually this is where it gets pretty interesting, and you really start to see the cork in the bathtub get pulled, and all the water drain out. So
Starting the spiral.
yeah, the arrival of the Huns and the migration of the barbarian tribes. So the barbarian attacks on Rome partially stemmed from a mass migration caused by the Huns' invasion of Europe in the late 4th century. When these Eurasian warriors rampaged through northern Europe, they drove many of the Germanic tribes to the borders of the Roman Empire. And the Romans grudgingly allowed members of the Visigoth tribe to cross south of the Danube and into the safety of Roman territory. But they treated them with extreme cruelty. According to the historian Ammianus Marcellinus, Roman officials even forced the starving Goths to trade their children into slavery in exchange for dog meat.
Whoa, that's a very sad sentence all the way around.
Yeah. In brutalizing the Goths, though, the Romans created a dangerous enemy within their own borders.
Yeah, they didn't really think that one all the way through. Did
They really didn't. When the oppression became too much to bear, the Goths rose up in revolt and eventually routed a Roman army and killed the Eastern Emperor Valens during the Battle of Adrianople in AD 378. The shocked Romans negotiated a flimsy peace with the barbarians, but the truce unraveled in 410 when the Goth king Alaric moved west and sacked Rome. So, yeah. And then when the Western Empire weakened, Germanic tribes like the Vandals and the Saxons were able to surge across its borders and occupy Britain, Spain, and North Africa. So, so that happened. Then, and this is the part I think, that, it's been in the, on the tongues of everyone in the last 10 years, right? Because of, gosh, what was that book? The Da Vinci Code, right?
Okay, yeah.
As everybody knows, Catholic Rome is just what was left over after the Roman Empire fell. And this next part talks about that. And the decline of Rome dovetailed with the spread of Christianity. And some have argued that the rise of a new faith helped contribute to the empire's fall. The Edict of Milan legalized Christianity in 313, and it later became the state religion in 380. These decrees ended centuries of persecution, but they may have also eroded the traditional Roman value system. Christianity displaced the polytheistic Roman religion, which viewed the emperor as having a divine status, and also shifted focus away from the glory of the state and onto a sole deity. Meanwhile, popes and other church leaders took an increased role in political affairs, further complicating governance. The 18th century historian Edward Gibbon was the most famous proponent of this theory, but his take has since been widely criticized. While the spread of Christianity may have played a small role in curbing Roman civic virtue, most scholars now argue that its influence paled in comparison to military, economic, and administrative factors.
You know, can you imagine the societal change, though, between 313 when it was legalized and becoming the official state religion, like 67 years later?
Right.
I mean, you go from being polytheistic to monotheistic. I mean, that's a huge sea change when you think about the culture. And something that you're supposed to hold, your religious values you hold deep to your heart, unless you don't really believe them, then you don't really care. But.
Yeah, I mean, what's that mean to a pagan anyway?
I wonder if the ordinary Roman citizen was like, just tell me what I need to believe so I don't get killed. What is it for this week?
Right. Let's move on to taxes.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, it's, I think no matter what your politics are, left, right, center, anarchistic, whatever.
Below, that's where
my political party is pissed. It's just.
But when you start looking at advanced civilizations like the Roman Empire, right? Relatively speaking, of course, like the elements that took down such a complicated system were really quite simple, and it had to do with greed, corruption, and well, that's pretty much it. Greed and corruption.
That's enough.
Greed, overconsumption of both natural resources and land, and it just that's really what it boils down to. And
the
anybody
gap between the poor and the rich, or I should say, the ruling class and the slaves.
Well, right.
Which is a function of greed, I think.
Right, and I think that if you were to translate that to today, or I should say, we could easily translate that to today by, I don't know, we find ourselves in very similar situations, and I'm not saying that our civilization is going to collapse tomorrow, but it seems rather inevitable if...
Keep in mind this is going out on Tuesday. We're recording it on Thursday. So.
We got till next Friday, basically. So,
Well, next Wednesday. It's not...
in all of your research, did you see any, glimpse of hope? What can little know-nothings or do-nothings like us do? Or are we just doomed? I mean, is there anything that we can do to sort of, or...
Yes, you brought us low. You got to bring us back up.
How am I going to sleep tonight, Paul? Basically,
is there a glimmer of hope? Well, yeah. I suppose if you live in a ecologically diverse and robust area of the planet, you are fortunate. Like an example, like Haiti and the Dominican Republic, right? They share the same island. Okay. But one half is completely destitute and barren, and the soil is crap, and the other side is green, lush, beautiful, and they have reserves, and it's one of the best farming land in the world, actually. And there are reasons why that has happened, like socioeconomic reasons, but there's also the ecological reason of it's just the mountainous region that separates the two countries prevents rain from going to one side. So
it isn't because of politics or anything. It's just
it is. Right? It is because of politics, and it is because of greed and overconsumption of Haiti's resources and corruption. But the underlying factor there also is that they just got a bad deal, ecologically speaking.
So we can. How can we save ourselves then? I mean, sorry, I didn't quite get the logic.
You're really pushing me here, and I'm trying to give you something, and you're not taking it.
Well, okay.
Don't be Haiti.
I don't live in Haiti. Got it. Okay.
Check.
Tell me where I need to move where I'm going to survive the coming Visigoths and meteors and comets and all that.
Actually, there really is no silver bullet. There's no perfect solution. You could say, move to Canada. They have plenty of resources. Well, they do now.
Wait until we get done with them.
Yeah,
Wait
they're
until we
just a
all
bunch of-
move there.
They're just a bunch of deers, and the wolves are going to come and take
Or
all
wait
their,
until the
all their oil
or
shale.
wait until the next ice age occurs. You know, I mean, there's a lot of different ways that it could play out, and so there's no real point to changing anything other than your own personal responsibility to conserve and to hold your politicians accountable. You know, I don't want to be too preachy about this.
That ain't going to work.
I don't want to be
sounds
too preachy. It's already preachy enough. I mean, we're talking about doomsday, for God's sake.
Yeah.
So
we're past the point of no return, right? It's a downward slide. We're all sliding. The water's we're in the log, and it's gone over the waterfall. Right?
the light at the end of the tunnel is that after it all collapses, we get to start over again.
Yeah, but I got to get mine. I'll have the biggest supply of canned beans.
Oh,
People
God.
will come to me because
No, they won't. No, they won't.
I'll have food and methane, and I'll
Yeah. Yeah. Welcome to Barter Town.
if you want beans, we can talk.
I'm gonna start hoarding. I don't know, air.
It's used there. My beans will be fresh and new.
Don't make me laugh. You made me lose all of my stock.
I still got my beans.
Yeah. Well, you know, that's very nicely put. Actually, it's like trying to hold on to air. Really, it's kind of fruitless.
So basically, audience, the point of our podcast tonight is just give up. It's gonna happen. Just sit back and let the goths.
You know, I had a very close friend of me who has since passed on, who, whenever he sensed I was down, he would always use this little adage to cheer me up. He would say, "Paul, you know, life sucks. There ain't no hope, and we're all gonna die."
It made you the man. That
And that's pretty much it. Yeah.
So stockpile some beans.
Anyway, so cheers.
Yeah.
Drink up.
You know what's funny? That same guy you mentioned, he used to call me and he would go, "Ben, are you happy?" And I was like, "Yeah, I think I'm." No, really, are you happy? Think about it. Are you happy? And it used to drive me crazy because I thought I was happy, but now I doubted it, and I've never stopped doubting it. It made me the man that I am today, basically.
Actually, that's a great lesson he provided. You know, we should all be asking ourselves if we're happy. You know,
No, we should ask other people and destroy their well-being.
Yeah. Yeah. Audience,
Let's
happy?
ponder that for a moment. So, if you want to call and chat with us about, you know, maybe what you want to do with your last moments here on Earth, you can give us a call at 502-286-9372 or 502-2-TOWER-2. Or you could write us an email at towergram@gmail.com, and please write in. We'd love to hear from you. Also, although the repeater will not be participating in this aspect, we are available on Facebook and Twitter.
Until the grid goes down and, you know, there's no electricity because the Visigoths chopped down all the telephone poles. I don't know.
Oh, yeah. But our voice over IP phones will still work.
That's right. That's right.
Or you can just embrace the screaming culture and yell at us, you know. Paul!
You know, my throat is a little sore from yelling earlier. It's if you notice, I was coughing quite a bit throughout the podcast there.
Well, that's why the screaming culture died. It basically
It
rose
died
and
out.
fell. It rose and fell in one night. So.
Carl, you must be put down. I'm sorry.
Yeah. Screaming John, wherever you are, I hope you have a very quiet evening. So.
Hope you carbon-based units enjoyed this episode. If you did, do us a solid and rate us on iTunes. If you'd like to spout a half or fully baked opinion, email us at towergram@gmail.com or call us at 502-286-9372 or 502-2-TOWER-2. Tower of Technobabble is sponsored by Panorama Creative Group. Y'all come back now, you hear?
again. Don't know where, don't know when, but I know we'll meet again some sunny day.
Hey, what did I tell you all about leaving the ominous foreshadowing?